Hey everyone, John here. And since the return of our Lord and Savior, Fox McCloud, I've been on a massive Star Fox kick and have basically replayed the entire series at this point. I started with Starlink, did an entire video on this, the base game and the DLC, which I really enjoyed. And then I went on to just playing the rest of the core series. Every time I revisit Starwing on the Super Nintendo, I feel like it's not going to hold up, but it does, every single time. This is still spectacular. And then I went on to Star Fox 2 on the Super Nintendo Classic, which is something that I feel like I never really clicked with that strongly before. But this new playthrough really got me, and I fully understand why Star Fox 2 is so cool now. And that's going to relate a bit more to the game we're properly going to talk about in a moment. Star Fox 64 and 3D, just spectacular, nothing more to say about those. Really enjoyed Star Fox Assault, really enjoyed Guard and Zero as well. This one is incredibly underrated, maybe we'll get to that in the future as well. And then at some point I might do Star Fox Adventures, it depends if the mood really fits. But the one thing I didn't show there, because it's on the floor, let me get it, is Star Fox Command for Nintendo DS. And I've given this many chances over the years, and for some reason, I've never really liked it. But this new playthrough, I played through it once, I played through it again, I played through it again, I played through it again. I went just 4 playthroughs in a row. And this is a game I never actually finished once before, because I just couldn't get into the gameplay prior. And it is an example of something that I think we should all do more, which is reflect on negative opinions we have. Because a lot of the time, they are just due to circumstances. It's due to expectations, it's due to influence, it's due to so many different aspects. And sometimes when there's something that you've convinced yourself you don't like, and you just go back to it after a certain amount of time, sometimes you see it from a different view. And with Star Fox Command, I think a big reason why I didn't like this in the first place was because it wasn't what I wanted out of Star Fox. But after playing through, Star Fox 2, Star Fox 64, Star Fox Assault, Star Fox Zero, and then finally doing Star Fox Command, I already had my fill of rail shooters. I had my fill of a traditional Star Fox game. And so to get something that was different to that was actually a really nice change of pace. Star Fox Command, for those who don't know, is basically a strategy game. It's a strategy game where you have a bunch of different maps and you move different armings around. So you can have Fox and Falco or Crystal or Wolf playing on the same board, and you get to move your units around and try and infiltrate and destroy enemy bases and intercept any missiles that are coming your way. So there's this layer of strategy of just trying to plan out how you move your ships around. But then the battles themselves are dogfights, and you've either got to defeat them, which lets you move on, or lose to them, which basically makes you lose your turn and lose a life. So there's a lot of elements going on there, and it wasn't something I really wanted to engage with in the past. But after Star Fox 2, which is basically that concept again, I really gelled with it this time. That's not to say it does everything better with Star Fox 2 though. Star Fox 2 presents all it has in one map. It's got all the variety of a single game in one little map. And so you're going from planet to planet, from enemy to enemy, trying to protect your base, but also just going through the core beats of the game, all in one area. And so all the variety you can possibly have is in that area. And it ends up feeling like you're navigating through something like the original Star Fox in a non-linear fashion. Whereas Command, that has a lot of different levels, and it doesn't have that same variety. Basically, every dogfight is more or less going to be the same. It's you just floating around an arena, taking out a specific kind of enemy. It doesn't have the same kind of objectives that Star Fox 2 has. It doesn't have the ambition of Star Fox 2 when it comes to the walker, or being able to use your cockpit in space, and all that stuff. But what it does have is a really compelling handheld experience. In Star Fox Command, there's so many good uses of the DS in here. You're looking at both screens at the same time. You're looking at your radar to try and track the specific enemy you're looking for. You're using the stylus to aim. And using the stylus is fantastic in this. This is another element that I never really gelled with before. But the touchscreen gives you way more leeway than an analog stick. You get so much more precision and freedom of movement than you can just moving a stick around. And they've really adapted the game to work with a touchscreen. Smart bombs aren't just projectiles anymore that would be really hard to aim with a touchscreen. Now they're like drone strikes. You just place them on the map and just obliterate whatever you want to obliterate on that map. All of it is just so tactical and fun. But it is also a little bit repetitive because so many of the dogfights are very, very similar. And sometimes you make a strategic move where you end up just doing like 4 different rounds of dogfights, one after the other, without any real room to breathe. And I think the portable nature of the DS, just being able to put that down and come back to it later, really is in the merit of that. It's best to play Star Fox Command in bite-sized sittings rather than an entire playthrough at once. And over time, I finished that first playthrough, and I just thought, man, that was a lot better than I remember it ever being. And I sat through and did a second playthrough, took a different route, and it just went in an entirely different direction. Different maps, different characters to play as, different story. And that's one of the coolest parts about Star Fox Command, is there's a fairly canon ending, and then once you beat that, you can then take different routes. And so when you get conversation options that come up during the story, you can take different paths and just branch into entire different levels and story. It really is quite rewarding to explore all those paths. But if you haven't got the time, it looks a bit like this. These are all the different paths and routes that you can take, and it ends up being around 9 different endings that you can resolve yourself in. And I have seen this as a point of negativity in the past, that people think the story is like the worst part of Command. Don't take it seriously because it's so funny. It's hilarious that you get scenes like this, where Falco has gone into depression. It's hilarious that the story is about Fox just disbanding the Star Fox team. They're all in separate ways. And because they disbanded, Crystal's heart's broken and she's joined Star Wolf. That is so funny. I don't know how anyone can see the story and not laugh. It is really entertaining. And there's just so many strange avenues it can go in. Like one of the best endings is Star Wolf become the heroes of the story, and they defeat the evil empire, which makes Fox really depressed because he has nothing else to live for. There's no more career of his. Crystal's with Star Wolf. What is he to do? And Falco decides to cheer my buddy up. We're going to retire from being mercenaries and instead join the G-Zero League, where we race around in our little R-Wing F-Zero ships. How can that story possibly be bad? Okay, that's a masterpiece. But I just love how much there really is to juggle in this game. One of the coolest parts of the strategy sections is every ship has its own unique attributes and designs. So if you've got Wolf and Fox, both of them thrive in different ways. Their boost meters may be smaller or larger than the others. Some of them can carry more bombs. Some of them can do charge attacks that lock onto multiple enemies, whereas others just have one big blast. So just trying to manage where you're moving your units and who would be the best for certain situations is really rewarding. And some of these boards can be quite challenging as well. I had to restart a few of them just to get the best advantage. And also the time is shared between the units as well. So juggling the core objective, which is taking down the enemies, while also trying to get more time for everybody, is just a great loop and a great circle that makes this just a great game. And I think I would have liked this back in its day if I just approached it more with an open mind. Star Fox Command is a really fun game. Fantastic controls, fantastic ideas. It definitely does lack in variety. I would have liked to see a bit more in its mission structure, maybe having a few on-rails missions between the chapters, but it's a game that clearly had the idea of being a strategy game first, and it delivers on its vision. And I'm always going to respect a game that sticks to its vision. I probably would have told you in the past that this is the worst Star Fox game by a large margin, and I just don't feel that anymore. I think this is an ambitious game that does something different, and it lands. As for where I'd place it in the series, maybe it still is somewhere at the back just because the rest of the games are so good, but it's not a large margin anymore. Like, being at the back of the pack of Star Fox games is still a really good accomplishment because the series is just so devoid of bad games. There are derivative games, sure, but actual bad games? I don't think one exists in the Star Fox series. It's like my son says.
Are there any bad Star Fox games?
No, Daddy.
No, there are no bad Star Fox games.
No, but Starfish Day.
And he's right, there are no bad Starfish games. And so it's a joyous day! There's another Nintendo game that I really like now. I even tried out the multiplayer because there's Nintendo Wi-Fi connection. I didn't play online, I did download play with my wife, and that was just really fun. Just floating around with upgrades that aren't in the main game, like changing your beam type. It just really allows the strategy of this to thrive. And I love that barrel rolls are more like shields in this one, like just like everlasting shields until your boost meter runs out. A few things have changed that just make this really great for a multiplayer compatible game. So there's a lot of layers in Star Fox Command, and I will not have anybody tell me that this is a poor game without them having reflected on their past experiences and growth and come to a point where maybe they can accept it, okay? So if you are a commenter saying, nah, bad game, I say to you, reflect. Look in the mirror, my child, and perhaps Fox McCloud will look back. Thank you so much for watching. I'm sure there'll be more Star Fox videos. We're just going through the whole series on the channel right now. We've done Starlink. Daniel's working on Assault. Steve just had an epiphany with Zero. So just do them all. Bye-bye, everybody.